All right. Hello everybody, KT here with Wise Images Photography, and today we are actually going to go ahead and go over how to get a blurry background with just using your cell phone. Now this is part of a three-part series. I had part one where I talked about things that you could do without even adjusting any of your camera settings, just some things that you could do. I also went ahead and went into a second video, and that's where I talked more about the mechanics and things that you could do with your camera to go ahead and get that blurry background that you're looking for. In today's episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine some of those techniques that we used in the first video. And then I'm also going to go ahead and talk about some of the technical things that you can do with your cell phone to go ahead and get those blurry backgrounds that you guys are looking for. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to have Mr. Scooby-Doo as our wonderful model again. You know, he does such a great job. All right, so you guys should be able to see Scooby. I'm trying to avoid the ant pile over here. I already got into one ant bed today and it was not fun. The first thing that I talked about was making sure that you go ahead and separate your subject from the background. So right now we have Scooby-Doo right next to his back, he's not completely close to the background. He's a little bit off of the background, but we're going to take a snap here. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and keep keep the camera right where it was, and then I'm going to go ahead and take another picture of Scooby-Doo. So as you all notice, I had Scooby-Doo closer to the background. And as soon as I pulled him away from the background, you will notice that the background did get a little bit more blurry, and it gave me more bokeh. That also goes into the second thing I had talked about in that other video, and that was get closer to your image. So what I'm going to do now is, or not closer to your image, get closer to your subject. So that's actually what I'm going to go ahead and do now, is I'm going to go ahead and get even closer to Scooby-Doo, and we're going to see how much blurrier that background gets. So I'm going to get so close that I'm really just going to get right up on that nose. So I got really, really close to Scooby-Doo's nose, and you could tell by looking at the background that it got that much more blurrier. Now, what we're going to do is that last technique that I had talked about in the other video, which is making sure that you're eye level with your subject. So now, if you notice that if I were to go above eye level on Scooby-Doo versus just slowly bringing this camera around into shot, you will notice that when I was up high and shooting down on Scooby, that the background wasn't as blurry. But once I went to eye level, it made a further distance to what was behind him, and that's what made that creamier background. So now, what we're going to go ahead and discuss is we're going to go ahead and discuss the cell phone and what are some of the different settings on your cell phone that can go ahead and help you out. Now, this is something new that I just recently learned about. So if you guys notice, there's a 0.5, which will take you wide. 1 will take you to 1 magnification, and a 3 will take you even further. So that's kind of like your telephoto lens. So when you're looking at the camera, you have 3 different lenses here. So we have that wide angle, we have kind of like our mid-range, and then we have that zoom. So that also helps in the fact that one of the techniques that I talked about was lens compression. So if you actually were to set your setting on a 3, we're going to go ahead and go back to Scooby now. I'm going to go ahead and go right at that level that we were kind of at before. And now I have him at a 3. I think I was right about here. And when I go ahead and click the picture, I did cut his ears off a little bit, but basically by using my own camera's telephoto lens, I was able to make lens compression. And that's basically when objects appear closer than they really are. Because if you are to look behind me with Scooby-Doo, he's actually like a foot away or maybe 2 feet away. I'm not the best at gauging lengths, okay? But he's at least a foot to maybe 2 feet behind or in front of this little bush that we have here. But when you look at that picture, when I zoomed in on that 3 magnification and kind of used like that telephoto lens that is built into my camera, you got that lens compression. So those back bushes really seem to be very close to Scooby-Doo. Now, another cool feature that you may or may not know, what you guys may find here, is I'm going to go ahead and put this back on 1 magnification. Now, you may have your mode on your phone as photo, but if you put it onto portrait, that is going to change the look. So I'm going to go ahead and put my camera back on photo. I'm going to go ahead and go over here to Scooby. Now that I'm here with Mr. Scooby, and what I have done, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I went ahead and I turned my phone upside down, only because he's a little bit lower and it makes my life a little bit easier. But here he is on photo. I'm going to double check that you guys can see. You guys are in view with the GoPro. So here we have a picture at 1.3 using the photo mode. I'm going to keep everything exactly how it is, and now I'm going to put it in portrait mode. And what you should notice is that the background got really blurry when I did that. But the one thing that I notice when I do put things into portrait mode is sometimes, and I'm going to look at the camera, I'm going to look at it, sometimes what I've noticed is like towards the edge, around the edge of the subject, is that sometimes that will go ahead and blur out as well. So you get a little bit of fall off. So my suggestion there is to go ahead and pull your subject even further away from the background so that there's greater separation, so that way the camera can actually pick that up. So the next thing that you might want to do is go ahead and check out the Pro mode. So I go into my More, I go into Pro, and what I noticed though, I have an S21 FE cell phone, that's an Android, and I could change my ISOs, I could change my shutter speed, I could change my exposure. However, I could not change my aperture. So for your phone, if you have an option to adjust your aperture, you can do that so that you get more bokeh. And what you want to do is I want you to think of number 1. I'm number 1. So basically the closest number to the 1 is what you're going to want to set your aperture to, because what it does is it opens everything wide open, and that's kind of what creates that nice bokeh look to everything. So you would want to try to set your camera phone to maybe like a 2.8 or a 3 or 4, whatever kind of settings that it has on your phone. So my phone unfortunately did not have that as an option, but that is another option that you guys can use to try to make sure that you guys get some good bokeh. So I hope that these tips have helped you out. You can take these tips, you can apply it. I know that I'm using my man Scooby-Doo over here, but you can use this for pretty much any genre that you want to, right? You can use this when you're taking pictures of your child or your grandkids, or maybe your own dog. You can also take pictures of birds. Now, birds might be a little bit harder, and of course you're gonna have to be in range and they're probably gonna have to be sitting down, but these techniques will give you that option to get that blurry background if that's what you guys are looking for. I wanna say thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys thought this was helpful, please make sure that you guys give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you guys go ahead and share it. Thank you to all my new subscribers that have recently subscribed. Thank you so much for helping my channel to grow. I hope that I'm able to go ahead and help you guys out. I want you all to remember that you are awesome. Have a fantastic rest of the week, and I'll see you later, alligator.